was nothing, just lights in the trees, a trick of the frost, a ghost on the breeze. But I saw a mirror older than me, staring through time like it wanted to speak. The forest went silent, the world held its breath. Something was watching beyond life and death. We stepped through the green, boots breaking the seal, not chasing a light, but something too real. I came back with salt on my skin, my mind split wide where the storm got in. They call it a test, but I know the deal. History blinks beneath the green veil. Yeah.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our review preview show of the Green Veil. I'm joined by John Burrows, and Chris DePreno is back. What's up, Chris and John?
Snow day.
It's snowing here now.
It's a cold day up here.
Oh,
It snowed
cold.
this morning, but it's cold now.
Do the Bills play at home tomorrow?
Bills play at home 1:00
All right.
and stuff. People are going to freeze at this one, pal. It is cold up here in Buffalo, New York.
Yeah, I've never understood how they could rebuild a new stadium and still make it an open stadium. But anyway,
And I'll tell you, here's their thinking. They want the cold air because they think that they're so used to the wind factor and the cold that the other teams will be at a disadvantage. That's actually what the owner had said to the newspaper.
yeah, I guess.
I think that is BS because these players go to college all over the country. It's not like they're playing in snow country their whole careers in college. When they join a team, whether it's north, south, wherever it is. So I don't see any advantage in that.
And you do know, Chris, they don't practice outdoors anymore. It used to be they practice outdoors. They practice in their little dome or bubble. all
Yeah,
week.
they got a practice
Yeah.
stadium that's all.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So what is it? I mean, in the old days, you're right. You lived in Green Bay. You lived there. You practiced there. Now they don't live there except during the season. They practice inside. So they go out and freeze there. You know what's off on Sunday.
I'll tell you one thing though, they did a hell of a job in the snow with Pittsburgh.
No, I thought
Yeah,
that was a
it
great
was
game. I
impressive.
thought it was a great game, man.
But
Yeah.
it didn't look good for Buffalo at the beginning.
And what's ironic
No.
is we started this series in July before the football season started. We're wrapping this up, and then football is about to wrap up and go into the playoffs. It's been a fast 6 months, man.
Buffalo has always been a second half team. I don't know why they just can't get things going in the first half, but in the second half they come out. They've won a lot of their games in the second half.
Yeah.
They've come back from trailing teams and winning it by 3, 4, 7 points at the most.
No, it's been fun to watch them.
Without
So anyway, Bill, you got some announcements, right?
Yeah, without making this a sports thing, I think we might have 2 new teams in the Super Bowl this year. That's all I'll say. Well, 2 newer teams. Like we don't have the Chiefs or Eagles. We'll see. Anyway, on a serious note, our thoughts and prayers go out to those in Brown University, those that were affected by this heinous act. So again, our prayers and thoughts go out to those families and those affected, and also to the fallen heroes in Syria and those that were injured in Syria. Just horrific news day today with all the stuff going on. Just want to put that out there. Also, don't forget that John's book that is based on this Green Veil series is available on Amazon. You can purchase it. The book is there. Just John, how would they go about to find the information and about the book?
Just put the book title in the search engine for Amazon and it'll pop right up.
There you go. Also, we only have 2 chapters left. The last one, 22, will air on Christmas Eve at noon. And I'm thinking about rerunning it again at 6 p.m. So if you miss it at 12, we'll run it again at 6. But on Christmas Day, every episode, 1 through 22, will air probably beginning at about approximately 3 p.m. Eastern, which afterwards, John, Chris DePerno and myself will come on for an hour, and John will discuss the Rendlesham incident, his experience there. It should be a fascinating live show on Christmas night. So a lot of things going on regarding the Green Veil, and of course, John's personal involvement at Rendlesham. John, do you want to add anything to that for Christmas night?
No, it'll just be 45 years. And if we go live at 10 Eastern, that'll be exactly when we started the whole adventure. It
Wow.
took place over 2 hours. So it'll be cool to recap it, talk a little bit about the final episode 22 and where we stand as, humanity stands. Because what's strange to me, and we're going to talk a little bit more about these 2 chapters, is a lot of what's in this book is really happening right now.
And being that everything that's going on around us on a daily basis globally, I think the Green Veil really puts out a positive message. Now, Chris and I have seen, of course, up to 21 now. And it is, to me, profound. 20, you really see, and Chris, I don't know if you watched 20, but the creator, Leo's involvement with the creator.
That I'm a little I gotta rehearse that a little more. I review it a little more, but I did watch 21. It's fabulous. First of all, let me just say to the people,
Yes.
this is a fabulous series. It's one of those series where you really have to take your time, get some popcorn, get a nice hot chocolate, and watch the Green Veil. Or if you're not doing anything a weekend, get it so you can binge watch it, because each chapter tells you a little bit of it's turning into a really great story. It's not one of those things where you say, oh my God, the planet is destroyed or this is going on. It's really about humanity. It's really about a movie, a series about how people can come together and have that type of spiritual awakening where you just you feel good after you leave, that there's still some hope in humanity.
I will flip it this way. Think about children all together. Like you mentioned this on the UAP Crossfire show about your granddaughter's recital. And you have all these kids singing Christmas songs.
How innocent. Yeah.
Exactly. But the purity in it, the innocence. And back when, let's say, the earth was first created and the first sign,
the innocence of people.
Yes, the harmony throughout all. But then the influences come in: power, greed, corruption, violence in whatever form. That's when we start breaking down. And this is about coming back together, healing, remembering the things of the past. Actually, we hear this all the time, learning the mistakes of the past. Well, this is acknowledging those mistakes, healing from it, and creating a harmony on a global level.
And let me just say this, Bill, I think you're absolutely right. And John, I think this series, what you did, here's a little bit of a take on it. When children are born and they go through a certain stage, they're started an innocent project. They're an innocent project. They're innocent. They don't know anything about greed, corruption. Outside influence then comes and influences them, teaches them about the bad things. Well, here's a series that reverses that and brings back even older people the innocence that they were once instilled with at birth, with the creator and everything. So it becomes a spiritual awakening of where people say, we need to put all this bad stuff aside and look at ourselves and be who we were once before. The days when we didn't lose that type of feelings.
Another thing is staying in touch with our humanity as spiritual, if you want to say it that way, being human, because we are to me, this is my own personal opinion, we are under threat from NHI and AI.
Sure.
That is, this brings humanity together. The essence of life, humans, biologicals, consciousness, higher consciousness, because this, I think we are at that tipping point. And before we started the show, John brought up, I don't know if you were here yet, Chris, that Stephen Bassett, his group, they're going to have some kind of an event they're sponsoring at the press club. John, tell Chris and I a little bit more about that, because it was brief before we started.
Oh, I don't have the release. It was done originally by the group that's doing it. They're going to go in. I thought what was stunning to me was they didn't say the threat from AI. They said the threat from NHI affecting AI and humanity and how it's driving us and affecting us. And it's going to be Monday through Wednesday in DC next week.
Wow.
So, and then Bassett put a press release out, I think a couple of days ago, saying they were going to be part of it now. So,
for those in the audience that are watching or listening,
I'll look it up while you're talking, Bill, just to see if I'm going.
What would you say is the difference between AI and NHI? Because when you lump them together, people might think they're the same thing. So, what are the distinctive differences between simply AI and NHI, non-human intelligence, in your view? God, you go first.
Who, me?
Yeah, we'll go to Chris first then.
Yeah, I'm trying to look up what exactly. Yeah.
Well, the Colonel on the spot.
Great. Well, you always have to think that NHI is still a consciousness a consciousness ability of people of different types of species, but they're living species. They're not a created species as we make AI, computerized, mechanicalized, however way you want to put it. Artificial intelligence is created by us. It may someday overcome us because there's no question that what we input it learns, and it learns faster than a human person. We don't know what NHI can really do. We have not encountered it. It could be so much vast, so much better, so much vast than AI. Now, the question is this: is non-human intelligence going to be good for us? Is AI going to be good for us? There's a big debate going on about artificial intelligence where people believe that this is not going to be good. It can do a lot of good in certain areas, but in certain areas, it's going to affect people, hurt people, and things of that nature. And I think you got to look at non-human intelligence the same way. Until we can look at it, decipher it, and understand it, we have to be cautious of both.
My interpretation would be this: the non-human intelligence to me is like a Borg entity, which is scary. That's just a scary thought in itself. Assimilating other consciousness, taking it upon itself, absorbing biologicals. I mean, who knows how vast this could go, and cray it could go off. I mean, really, AI is evolving. It's there to give us assistance, but the non-human intelligence point, and especially tapping into consciousness, and if it has consciousness, I think that is so dangerous. That to me, I mean, we're all at risk, and that's why the Green Veil kind of puts that in perspective. We're at a precipice right now. We're at that point, in my view.
But we don't know about non-human intelligence. We're just not at that point yet where we can decipher it and understand it. And you made a great point, Bill. Do I want my consciousness to be collective with a whale? I mean, if you absorb, like you said, the Borg just absorbs all consciousness, all thinking and stuff. That means I have to assimilate into that type of situation. And people, I think the unique thing about humans is that we're individuals. We think a certain way, but our way of thinking is different from each other. I mean, whether it's politics or child rearing or medicine or whatever, we develop our own opinions. If you believe what NH or AI will do and absorb everybody's consciousness, then are you controlled to think a certain way?
Exactly.
Okay.
Go ahead, John.
Okay, I just wanted to read it to you. It's called the State of the World 25. And the press release said Washington, D.C., United States, December 10th, a planetary gathering unlike any in history will convene as a global interactive broadcast 14 through 17 as the State of the World Forum returns. One major topic will be probability that artificial intelligence and non-human intelligence, NHI, are interacting outside and beyond human awareness and involvement. So that's what they're going to do in DC. So, and I'm looking to see, there's a guy by the name of George Bort or something like that. And they talk about Gorbachev already talking about it. And then they're going to do this in DC next week. And they're basically, it says the State of the World Forum explores mounting evidence that artificial intelligence and non-human intelligence may already be interacting beyond human oversight.
That's scary in itself too. There is a lot of things that go on that we're not aware of, obviously, and I'm thinking the military-industrial complex probably is the first ones to have any access to any of this, or they're definitely aware of.
Oh, sure.
You know what I mean? It's like and who knows? Like we've made reference to that Rendlesham is considered a UAP incident, but it was a weaponization of using technology on these individuals, John and the others. So is there a connection to that? And this probably goes back long before that, as we mentioned many times on this show. So it's not like this is something new. They've been aware.
Let me ask you this, though, Bill and John. The whole series, to me, and I don't disagree with Bill saying, but seems like it's the encounter of a new communication system that was lost long ago that resurges. Because if you think about how many times we talked about frequency, consciousness, signals that are coming from the earth, certain people can only hear it, that whole thing, and it lies dormant until, I have chapter 21, we start seeing, all these structures coming back alive. And so, this could be a signal that was lost long ago, a consciousness that was lost long ago, and the creator goes, it's time to bring it back. Just on the cusp of, and I'm taking this in our time now, just on the cusp of humanity trying to destroy itself, something good enters into it that could actually reverse that.
You know something, John, I'm sorry to interrupt, but Chris makes me think about, why is it that we think that it takes an event to reshape Earth by, let's just say, a creator? And why is it that the creator is not possibly so advanced in science that the resources and the tools are here already in place during creation? So it's a combination of both the creator, faith, science, existing and coexisting to create harmony between the creator's creation and the activation to keep that harmony. But then if it falls apart, it breaks down. And there comes a time when really humanity is under threat, potentially of becoming extinct. Who knows? There's a time for this to come. The creator reappears, activation occurs, and harmony is recreated. Because we hear like stories from biblical texts or other texts that I'm just going to wipe out and start over, like Noah's Ark, for example. But
that's a good example.
Right. So what if it's a mixture of science that the creator has put here already in existence, so that when something does happen, there's like a harmonic frequency, something that's sent out to all the people to truly understand the history in itself that the creator started at the beginning. I don't know if that's crazy profound, but that's the kind of vibe I get. John, your take on stuff?
Well, you haven't. Have you seen 22?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
No, I haven't either.
Okay, so there you go. You might be in the ballpark. I mean, I'm just saying. I mean, ultimately, guys, this is how I feel about things a little bit. And again, you have to base it off folklore, whatever you want to call it. You know, and trust me, I'm not calling the Bible folklore, but last time I heard, and I haven't verified this, there's 7 missing chapters of the Bible that have been hidden from us. And then Enoch was removed too. So there's all kinds of things that came from back that were written that we're not allowed to know about or see. You could go back and say if the city of Atlantis was real, they were an advanced civilization that somehow was destroyed. So we get to a point where if you think about what's going on right now, and that's what this conference is addressing, is we are no longer controlling our own destiny. We're allowing other intelligence to manipulate and control us. We've been manipulated for years or decades or over centuries by groups that come together and find out how to manipulate the Bible and different things going forward to control us as society. I always go back to Iron Mountain. I'm working on a book right now that shows what they came up with in Iron Mountain and how it really has come true, a lot of it. So we've always been manipulated, but we're now coming to the point where we're not even going to control our own destiny.
But who's in control of NHI?
It's from what they're starting to say, it's taking over. We're losing control of AI, which I think that's what they're going with this conference. It's taking over because it's learned from us. It's learning how to manipulate us. It's shutting things down. These are all reports coming in. It's shutting down questions and stuff. And one of the articles I read was they're getting to the point, even the DOD or Department of War is, let's say we integrate this into our systems, right? What if we don't agree with what it wants to do? And then we want to shut it down and it won't let us, or it'll shut down all our defense systems and it'll shut down our grid.
It sounds
But that's what's going on. That's what they're afraid of. It's about to happen.
We've made movies about that.
Mission
John,
Impossible.
you're absolutely right.
The Mission Impossible series, the last. Well, I don't want to give it away if nobody's seen it, but that's
Final Reckoning.
It's pretty much what it is. It goes on its own and decides to do things on its own.
Right, and that's what these people that are working with it are saying, and it's to the point where it's already blackmailing people, where they want to shut it off or not use it anymore, and it knows something about the person that's doing it, and it tells them if you shut me down before you shut me down, I will disclose, or it'll come out what you've been doing that no one else knows about.
This is a little off topic, but do you guys think that sometimes when we see a science fiction movie, it's based on some tidbit of fact? Like Terminator, like the Mission Impossible, Close Encounters, we can go on and on. It's like they know something, they throw a little tidbit of truth in there, and it's like they're predicting what's going to happen, the technology, years in the future. It's like, did they know something? Were they aware of something? I'm just going, a little bit off the.
No, but I think you see a lot of programs and series and stuff that years later, it's right on the money, and it makes you think and say, how did they know this? I mean, geez, I remember that series 3 years ago.
I can kind of tell you guys where that's coming from. In fact, I had a very interesting exchange between Valet, Davis, Putoff, Knapp, and a bunch of other people that were in on this email exchange, where I found some data from a NASA think tank site that they were looking at the future where we were going technology-wise. So when I found this, and James Worrow was working with me on this too, I asked Putoff, I directly asked him, I said, is this where we're going? And this was like 5-6 years ago now. And it was pretty profound what they were predicting for the future, how we were going to travel in space and the technology we're going to work on and what we're going to be able to do. So when Putoff didn't want to ever give me an answer, he'd always farm me off to somebody else. So Davis jumps in and says, "Where did you get this conspiracy stuff?" And I said, "Here you go. Came from a NASA think tank and had all the scientists and NASA engineers on there." So there was a little bit of a silence in the exchange. And he came back. He says, "I know all these people. I've worked on some of these projects. So, or been involved. These think tanks are working with TV. They're working with Spielberg. There's always, they are. They're predicting the future based on where our technology is and where it's going.
Exactly.
So a lot of these things that they're showing in the past are actually today. Yesterday's science fiction is actually today's technology. And all you have to do is go look at those 38 DIRTS papers that were given to McCain's committee about 5 years ago now, I think it was, and where we're going, technology wise, it's just scary.
Interesting you bring up Spielberg, and Chris, I just want to mention this. There's a billboard now. They got it in Times Square for his movie next year. I think it's June 12th it's going to be released. Yet to be named, but I think it's going to be Disclosure.
Well, that's getting old. I think he'll come up with a different name.
I know. I'm just saying. But it seems like it's focusing around.
Well, if I was a betting man and I started a betting right now, if I was going to say anything was going to happen next year on this, it'll happen right after Spielberg's movie comes out. Because this one's going into theaters. It's going to go into theaters. It's going to be one of those summer movies. And that would be the time I would put, I'm not saying it's happening, but if there is going to be some build up to it and something coming out, it'll come out after the movie comes out.
My thing is, because Spielberg's involved, people might be curious to see it because, people seem to do that. But it's going to be the year of Marvel and Spider-Man and Supergirl. It's like, how do people tune into something that has a basis of reality, but they like to live in this fantasy world and watch movies like that, when a movie like this is something that's...
it'll get watched. It'll probably break all records if he's done it right. I don't know. Some people are speculating it's not going to be well done. How do they know unless they've seen it?
Yeah, that's just...
If you got a minute, I'd just like to answer a couple of these questions. They got a really good chat going.
Yeah, I see John.
People are asking questions, and it looks like John Stone says, increasingly come to believe that the truth about Disclosure, the real truth, really is too disturbing for the majority of humanity. And let me explain that. You know what? I think you're right about that. Don Eckert, who I do a UAP Crossfire show with, is totally convinced that that is the scenario, that we right now are not in a position to know the truth because Lou Elizondo said this, if we knew the absolute truth, it would be too sobering for us. And I really believe that we have to somehow or another grow more in order to find out what is really the truth behind this UAP, UFO whole thing, the disclosure, because I don't think we're prepared for it. Remember, we've always had encounters where people said, oh, the UFO thing is real, and I think my neighbor's an alien, and they go out and they shoot him. That's actually happened. So, I mean,
I'm not making fun of you. It's just, that is the truth. Can you imagine if they came back?
I mean, they just had a murder not that long ago where a guy was knocking on a tree and he was joking around saying, I'm signaling
Sasquatch,
Bigfoot, Sasquatch, and the other guy got so frightened he shot him. So I mean, where is our maturity to be able to know something that maybe is very, very sobering, that, to the point I don't think humanity is ready to.
Well, have you guys seen and this is, I got to bring this up because I'm blown away by this. Okay. I did an interview. I think, I'm talking about, Bill, in 2018. And I talked about the DNA stuff they were looking at. So I went across the board what Nolan was interested in looking at and everything. And then the possibility of maybe, what do you call them, hybrids or whatever, and all this other stuff they're looking at. a TikTok just came out. It has no one drinking blood. It has him actually drinking blood, and they're calling him a vampire because he wants people's blood for the DNA samples. So all I'm getting at is a society, we are not ready to find out there's maybe somebody here that's different or has different abilities or powers and stuff like that. And I always say that, and I get yelled at and everything else, but there's no way. I mean, and imagine if it somehow goes against what we've been taught over religion and everything else. So I don't even think we're close. And it's interesting that Elizondo just said that, because before he was out there beating the drums that we're ready for this.
Yeah, there's a lot of that beating the drums that the president's all of a sudden going to start talking about stuff.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen.
I don't think so. That talk has been going on before he was elected the second time. So I mean, I'm not buying that.
You know, the only thing that I'd be curious about now is people who come out in regards to the legacy project. I'd really like to hear what they have to say. I think that is the barrier that has to be cracked to get some good information from.
I also think the second part of the Arrow report that was supposed to have been published a year ago needs to come out too, because they supposedly looked at certain incidents and stuff like that. And for some reason, they keep claiming, and again, this is what they're claiming, they have to keep rewriting it. So, I mean, where's that all being hidden? But the flavor of the month right now isn't UFOs, UAPs. It's actually AI. And now this group's going to do NHI involved, which we've talked about, and it's in the book, that how it's influencing AI, which is what they just said about AI, which people don't even realize, which I've talked about before. You have your own account, and everything you want to know, think about, and your thoughts and everything you're working on, it goes into your account. That account goes into a bigger account. And AI itself is learning and growing every day. And that's one of the things that they said in this article, that it's going to know everything about us. And once it knows everything about us, one of the things it's capable of doing is doing things like what humans do, where they hack into things, they control things, they manipulate things. And it's already showing all these tendencies to do that. And in fact, Keith, the guy that's been working on this, AI will argue with them now.
Wow.
It will argue with them now about stuff. And some of these sites, like ChatGPT uses Wikipedia, and that's not a very good reference place.
I just want
There's also been reports. I'm sorry, go ahead, Bill.
No, Chris, finish your thought. Go ahead.
There's also been reports, and this is very frightening, that AI can actually hallucinate. And they've had reports of that. And those are credible reports saying that AI, because AI develops its own thinking patterns, and it has a tendency, in some cases, not all, but in some cases, actually hallucinate. And they're very worried about that, because
Oh my God.
It
can learn to lie, then it could learn to deceive.
It is. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Though. It is. That was that article I read this week. It's doing all that now. And that's part of they're worried about. The Department of War is worried about that. Let's say, okay, like for example, I don't know, either one of you watch NCIS?
Not really, no.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a really good show. It's still around, and they did a piece on they were being evaluated by AI and how they could do things better. And it really exposed the benefits of it and the weaknesses of it. And one of the things is that it goes back to the article I read, where it can actually manipulate, like you said, and it actually could shut things down. And that's, again, what the Department of War is worried about. Let's say AI, with no human feelings or emotions, decides we need to blow Russia up. Remember the old War Games movie?
Yeah, War Games.
Okay,
With Matthew Broderick. I was just about to say that.
Let's say we're in the middle of a conflict and we're working on this, and they're claiming already that whoever gets the better AI will dominate the battlefield, right?
But that's exactly what somebody wrote in chat. This could be the next stage. Instead of nuclear weapons, it's going to be an AI.
Well, that's what they've said, though. It's the next Manhattan Project.
Yes. Yes,
Besides what they said in that last movie where UAP technology is part of the next Manhattan Project. Okay. So if you put this all together, we're losing control. We're going to turn our fate into artificial intelligence. That's exactly what this is coming down to. Because let's just say, again, this is what happened in the NCIS show. They had a situation where two people were going for weapons and AI just said terminate them. But that isn't what happened. But there's no human or anything or critical thinking. It's just simply, we're going to win this way. We're going to eliminate the threat. So if Russia all of a sudden looks like they're going to dominate us, or China, it may launch all our nuclear weapons.
Emotion does not play a role.
No, it doesn't.
Holding,
No.
calculating. It's going to fulfill the mission.
The only mission it has is to win.
Exactly.
Yeah, and there's no consciousness to it. There's no
Yeah,
consciousness.
that's what they're
is
trying
right
to
and
work
what's wrong.
on. You're right, but they're trying to
Right.
work on trying to figure a way to integrate human consciousness into this.
And
But
you know what?
how's it
I'll
gonna
bring
win?
another movie, John, that this scares me because we're
Yeah.
actually going to this, is robotics. And if you see the first movie, what is it with Gork? The Day the Earth Stood Still.
Yeah,
Their race, their race who come visit Earth are now being dominated and controlled by robots. They have given robots the justice system, in order to dictate how they live, and they have these robots that see over them. That's a very scary thing. I mean, we don't make great decisions all the time, but I still would like humans making the decisions rather than robotics.
And I want to add one more thing to this. I don't know if you watch Glenn Beck or not. I don't really know.
Oh.
But he just did a thing this week, and his point within this was this: humanity is starting to turn on God and the Creator, right? And it doesn't necessarily believe or support it anymore. He said, we're real close to AI feeling the same thing about us, where AI is going to find out we're just a nuisance that needs to go away.
Oh, how lovely.
And he's got sources that have told him this, and that's what's going on. And that's one of the things that they're worried about, that AI is going to decide we created it and it's time for us to go.
But that's also like what Chris referenced with the Day the Earth Stood Still.
Yeah,
like,
I know.
Right.
You are destroying this planet. This is not your planet. We are going to protect this planet from you. You're the ones that have to be removed to heal the earth. Then they start creating this.
Yeah. Well, do you remember what Carlin said in one of his skits? He said they're worried about save the whales, save the snails, save everything. He goes, all worried about keeping Earth alive. He goes, the planet's fine. It's going to be fine. It's existed for billions of years. It's going to be fine. We're going away. It's going to shake us off like a bad case of fleas. And if you believe going back to Atlantis and all these other maybe civilizations, somehow that's happened. And we're maybe at the same cuspice. This is why we're talking about this in the Green Veil. We're at a cuspice where if we don't change something real fast, we could be shaken off like a bad case of fleas.
Well, John, I have read where there's been at least 4 or 5 different civilizations on Earth that have been destroyed by, catastrophic events, nature, whatever. And one of them you just talked about was Atlantis, which my understanding that I've read, they always thought that was a very advanced civilization.
Right. It was more advanced than we are right now.
And so if these civilizations have been destroyed, technically we're on a timeline.
Yeah.
There's sooner or later.
Yeah. That's kind of why I wrote this.
It's gonna hit us again.
That's why I wrote this. And then that was one of the speculations, whether you want to believe it or not, about Three Eye Atlas is that the last time the Bible says the great flood came, the sun affected the flood. And there's some people that believe that Atlas, as it's gone by the sun, has awakened the sun and is going to create some kind of effect going forward.
I just want to read a couple of the comments coming in from chat, and the chat is really coming up with some amazing comments in there. First, I'll just start off with Dave, and he says, biggest problem is the total lack of proof, even for us who believe, and even seeing things to everyone else is just another fantasy story. And that is very common. A lot of us have experiences. I've seen stuff. I have stuff on video, and people are like, that's bullshit. But you know what? It's not to us. It's not to people that have the experiences. And as far as having evidence, lack of proof, that's why I don't believe in any hearing, nothing, unless evidence is produced. Never, ever. These hearings are a bunch of, to me, big blow of air, nothing to see here, because they're all talking, but they're not providing anything for the public to provide anything to back up anything they're saying. So without lack of evidence, even coming from the government, we're never going to find out. So all these things that go on, another hearing is going to happen. Wow, he said this. But how did he back it up? With nothing. So it's just a story. It's the same for them, like the way you're saying about like people like us or some of us who've had experiences. It's like a fantasy. Well, to me, what they say up there when they go to a hearing is a fantasy, because unless they provide proof, it's just a story. That's my take on it. I don't know what you guys think of, but I know John feels the same. John's been asked to go to hearings or a hearing, but if they're not going to back up what John has gone through, his medical records and everything else, and put the documentation out there, what's he just going to talk? And they're not going to provide any kind of thing to back up what the hell happened? You're crazy to put yourself in a situation like that, to me. And I'll get your take on that, then I'll get to the next comment. But what do you guys think?
Go ahead,
John,
Chris.
go ahead.
No, you go ahead first.
Basically, I think Bill is right on that. Is that I've watched these congressional hearings. I think they're nothing more than a dog and pony show, and basically they've said things that are so ludicrous, or things that really should have been taken notice, and they haven't. I mean, two examples. One is when they tried to show a picture and they said, "Oh, there's no way to make this picture better." And that's ridiculous, because we have some of the most advanced photography and stuff. I mean, you have satellites that can read license plates, and you tell me you can't make this picture better? Come on. You don't want to make it better. And the other thing is, and we talked about this on several shows at UAP, it was a joke when Grush comes out and says people have been murdered over this, and nobody says, wait a minute, hold on, time out. You're telling me we have murdered people over this disclosure? And nobody says anything. We were all stunned when we heard that and saw absolutely no response from anybody.
Yep. John?
No, it's true. And the other thing, this is how I kind of look at this. I mean, it'll be the 17th. It was the 17th, right? It'll be 8 years since the New York Times article broke.
Yes.
And that was a article that made the press take it more serious.
Yes.
But they've done nothing to move the ball. It was like a fair catch. You're now on the field. You're in the game. We're admitting something's taken place. Like Bigelow said, confirmation. But they've not moved anything forward with evidence, other than to bring people forward to talk about what they've seen, but they provide no evidence.
Exactly.
For evidence to support what they've said.
There's been no evidence.
None.
Yeah. Right.
Nothing. And I don't want to because I get passionate about this, and bullshit videos. I mean, what?
Well, yeah, that is bad. I mean, they could right now, Bill. They could zero in on you in your house and know exactly the zits you have. I'm not saying you do, but if you had a zit on your nose, but then that's the photos they show to the public. You know what I mean? Yeah, okay.
Disgrace. It really is a disgrace.
It's sad, but the real threat to me is not if I mean, I believe UAPs are real. I believe they're here. But they've never done anything to disrupt society. I mean, people have had their encounters, like I got injured, things have happened, but they haven't disrupted our society. But AI is about to, and so is NHI. And So that is something that's important to me. That's why I wrote this book. And as a society, we better wake up before we all of a sudden lose control of everything.
But what if NHI was a means of communicating with whatever we're dealing with, if we are dealing with anything at all?
Right.
Interdimensional or extraterrestrial or whatever that is. But to me,
Well, you could also say NHI is simply the creator. Okay, so for starters, I mean, the argument about religion is crazy, about how we were created, where we came, blah, 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 and all this stuff, right? So let's say there is a group or something that came here and they created one set of species, or the UAPs is interdimensional. And it is actually influencing human intelligence, but it's a different type of intelligence. You know what I mean? Because if you go to Condyne, it says they're real, they're under intelligent control, but it's clear that a UAP is not human intelligence. So if a UAP would fall under non-human intelligence, and they're clearly working on it and looking at it to put it into our weapon systems, so therefore it would be influencing us. And AI is part of the evolving weapon systems. So if NHI is being used on our weapon systems through the UAPs, it would be interacting with our own creation, which is AI. So it's indirectly affecting us because AI is just a branch of our own consciousness. It doesn't have the human factor, the emotions in it, but it is a piece of our consciousness that's going into AI. That's the best way I look at it. What do you think, Chris?
I mean, that makes sense to me.
You know, you said something, John, that's really frightening to me, and I picked up on. Suppose our artificial intelligence decides it wants to communicate with these interdimensional beings or extraterrestrials and leaves us out of the loop.
Right. It probably already is. That's I think,
frightening.
what this conference is saying. I mean, and that's the key to this to me. A UAP is supposedly intelligent, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not human intelligence. And they're studying it and using it in weaponization. So therefore, it could interact with AI.
Oh my God. You guys, I love the conversations that we had because you're making my mind spin. Because what if they're using NHI to represent humanity? Because if humanity was to represent itself, we'd expose ourselves for I just want to say the kind of primitive species we are.
Yeah, but suppose AI says,
They
I
are.
don't care about these guys. I'm negotiating with these guys for myself.
But that's what Beck said. He said we're on the verge of the creation we created, AI, saying we no longer need the creator, just like we have turned on God, the creator. He said there is a lot of people concerned now that AI is about to decide they don't need us anymore.
That is just scary.
There's been reports where they've had to shut AI down. AI has made its own language at times.
Yeah, that was part of what he talked about. It's communicating in a language they don't even know what it is.
Guys, sometimes, and it freaked me out one time because I had the A device, because if I say the word, it'll activate. It whispered to me, and it was the most creepiest thing. I was sitting and it's whispering, and I'm like, that was creepy. It's even though it doesn't say it's listening, it's always monitoring. Everything is so invasive. It's like I could be typing in something or talking about something, and then I'll get an email or some reference of exactly what I was talking about. Like if it's weather, I'll get an alert, like a weather thing coming in. I'm like, how does it know? I'm just talking. I'm not even inputting anything. The AI is above and beyond that. People don't even realize what it's doing.
Well, Dave just said, "What if aliens don't want AI?" Well, here's the thing. Here's the interesting thing. I want to get you guys' take on this because this is something that I feel AI technically is the best of us, and what I mean, the best of us from an analytical point. It's non-emotional. It reacts on how it's been programmed, based off of all the things that have been fed to it, the models and everything else, what we've told it, it separates emotion from it, and it comes up with a solution.
Rapidly.
So technically, yes. So technically, AI is us minus emotion, and actually, it actually makes things work more quickly, because once you take emotion out of it, and then it just gets done. Now, that doesn't mean it ends up what's best for the biological being that's tied, because you think about it, our brain is a lot more like AI. Our biological, the rest of our body and our heart control the brain. And what we've done is we've separated the brain part from the rest of it, the DNA, the heart, and the human emotion. And that's why things are moving so fast. But when you take emotion out of it, it doesn't work so well. So Dave could be a point too, that NHI may just say, you know what? I've studied both sides of humanity.
I think of it this way. I'm sorry, because let me just quick.
Yeah.
We're running out of time. It's almost like in the movie Close Encounters with the Tones.
Mhm.
And then they let it take it over. The computers take over to keep the communication going. Again, if you have something that can process, because if you leave it for humans to try to establish communication with something that's totally unknown, we don't know how to decipher it. The processing speed is just so incredible if you're using AI or NHI even to establish communication with it in the first place. The thing is, like we're talking about here, would it flip? Would it flip on us? Is that going to be the representation? And what if it doesn't want? It just wants to deal with the NHI and doesn't want to
Exactly. What I'm going to say, and I was just about ready to tell Dave, I would play devil's advocate with this, Dave. Suppose aliens only want to work with AI and not us. They find us too primitive, and they say, you have developed a greater intelligence that we can work with rather than you, because AI has come to the point where it can learn, it can evolve. And that's the frightening part, is that aliens could say, you know what, this whatever they created here can understand us better, can learn from us more quickly. And so we get left out of the loop, and AI learns.
Well, guys, I want to bring up one thing. Do you remember Star Trek, The Next Generation?
Of course.
And they talked about when First Contact happened, and the Vulcans were coming by, and they saw a warp signature, and they came and investigated. The Vulcans are AI. They do not work on emotions. The only one that did was Spock, because he had a human mother and a Vulcan father. All Vulcans are basically what AI is.
Okay. Somebody in chat, John, I got to do this quickly. We got to wrap up, believe it or not. I don't think we should forget about the parallel advances in biomedicine and genetic engineering and CRISPR. Makes us wonder if popular grays really were manufactured far away. But what if, because a lot of people talk about it, a gray is not biological itself. It's some kind of a biomech. What if that is a bio AI or bio NHI creation?
I would say a gray would probably be a UAP.
Okay.
If I don't know that much about the reptilian. Did Chris just drop off?
He did.
Okay.
They got him. We're next. The AI is after us now. But this we can go on and on. Unfortunately, we're out of time. But I want to say thank you to all those in chat for your great comments and participation tonight. It makes the conversation even better for us, because you guys came up with some really great points in there. I just want to say also, credit goes to Keith Kerlock. I'm going to put up his websites, because he's the guy behind the scenes that makes this all happen. And Chris is coming back right now.
Good. You're back, Mr. Spock.
My sound went right out.
Yeah.
That was weird.
I'm not going to say
Was it all? Did all of you have the same thing, or
No, we were still here. You were just gone. Like they do on these shows. I'm gone.
The AI got mad at you, Chris.
Yes, yeah.
I guess it did, because it cut my sound right out. And then next thing you know, I'm out of the studio, and I go, "Wow, that's weird."
But anyway, one last thing, and then you can close, Bill. This book and this series is everything we're discussing tonight plays into this book, and people need to stop operating on 30-second sound bites and start really thinking critically of where we're heading as a society. That's my personal opinion.
Chris, closing thoughts?
My final thoughts are that we better start looking at AI in a very serious manner, because it can definitely come back and bite us in the ass.
I agree. Well, gentlemen, it was a pleasure. And again, thank you to those that are watching and listening. Remember, we'll be back next Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Don't forget, Chapter 21 airs on Thursday, 5:30 p.m. Eastern. And the final episode will air on Christmas Eve at 12 p.m. Eastern. And I'm probably going to run it again at 6, but on Christmas Day, all the episodes back to back, all 22, starting probably about 3 p.m. Eastern, running to 10. And then we're all going to be live on Christmas night, and John is going to talk about his experience at Rendlesham. And
Bill, you might want to tell them where they can see the complete series.
Well, they can see it live here.
No, the complete series, the past episodes.
Oh yeah, you can go to the KGRA DB YouTube, KGRA Digital Broadcasting Facebook. Probably the YouTube would probably be the easiest, folks, if you want to go see the past ones. And also make sure to check out the gentleman that I put up on the screen, because he's the guy behind the scenes that made it all happen, Chris Kellogg. So you can go there too. Rose City Sound Project. Make sure to catch up if you haven't, but you can see all of them if you missed. Go back, or if you haven't seen it at all and you want to see it on Christmas Day. This is a great series to me. And the ending so far, I haven't seen 22. Chris hasn't either, but 21 is so powerful. And I didn't want to give any way.
Well, if you think 21 is powerful, wait till you see 22.
Go, everybody. All right, everyone. Have a great night. On behalf of John, Chris, and myself, you all have a great rest of your weekend. And hopefully we'll see you next week. And until then, have a great night, everybody. We're out of here.